If you're thinking about going to Disney's Animal Kingdom, there are so many things to see and experience. You might be looking at the list and saying to yourself, what do I do? Where do I go? What show should I see? In what order? And what fast passes should I get for what? And when should I do it? So today, I'm going to give you the simplified version of how I like to experience Disney's Animal Kingdom. Now keep in mind, this is my favorite way of experiencing Disney's Animal Kingdom. Is it the only way? No, it is not. There are plenty of other ways, but at least it can give you a general idea of how I think through how I'm going to experience Disney's Animal Kingdom. It's almost difficult to believe you're looking at this. That's how amazing it is. Before I make it to Disney's Animal Kingdom, I make a plan for what I would like to see and do during that day. But before I even make the plan, I book fast passes for things that are available that I really want at Animal Kingdom, and the very top priority for me is Flight of Passage. One of Disney's most recent additions, and in my opinion, one of the best rides available at the time of filming at Walt Disney World. And that's saying a lot, you know that. So for me, this is a top priority, and I will try and book those fast passes the moment I can. As soon as the day opens where I can book fast passes, I'm looking for that one immediately. I recommend getting it whenever it's available. If you're going to Walt Disney World during a slower time of year, I recommend getting a fast pass later in the afternoon if you can, if it's available. If it's not available, or if you're going during a more crowded time of year, book it anytime you can. Anytime you can get Flight of Passage fast pass, get it. It is absolutely worth it. After I have gotten, or at least attempted to get, the Flight of Passage Fast Pass, I will then prioritize Kilimanjaro Safaris, and then I may prioritize Expedition Everest, unless I'm going by myself, in which case it might be Rivers of Light or maybe the Festival of the Lion King. I recommend you book those Fast Passes for the midday or early afternoon. The reason is, when you first arrive at Animal Kingdom, I will be recommending that you go to those really high priority attractions first thing, and you stand in the standby line. That way you can do your favorites more than once. Now let's get into my favorite way of experiencing Disney's Animal Kingdom, and the first thing I'll do is get to the park about an hour, maybe 45 minutes before the official opening. The reason is, they have a tendency of letting guests in about 30 or maybe 20 minutes beforehand to a secondary waiting area, and then maybe letting in folks just a little bit earlier than that. So you won't be waiting in a long line for very long if you get there 45 minutes or maybe an hour in advance. The first thing I do when that rope drops is I make my way immediately to Flight of Passage, and I stand in the standby line, and sometimes that line might be about an hour at that point. That is an hour well spent, because the queue line for Flight of Passage is so cool, so immersive, it will not feel like an hour. Trust me, it's definitely worth standing in that standby line right at rope drop. Now if I don't make it in time for rope drop, or maybe I'm so far back in line that it's made it to an hour and a half or a 2-hour wait, and I say to myself, you know what, I'll just wait for that fast pass later on, I'll make my way directly to Kilimanjaro Safaris. Now if I did make it to Flight of Passage first thing in the morning, I would also be making my way to Kilimanjaro Safari after. So if you follow the original plan and you make it in time for rope drop, make your way to Kilimanjaro Safari after, or if not, you can make it your first thing to do in the morning. Now I've heard from many different cast members and friends that there are many animals that will appear throughout the day on Kilimanjaro Safaris, but let me tell you, the best pictures that I ever got on Kilimanjaro Safaris were in the early morning, and that's why I love going first thing in the morning. After Kilimanjaro Safaris, I'll make my way to Expedition Everest and ride on either the single rider line, or maybe I'll have a fast pass for it, and sometimes I'll stand in the standby line depending on the length of the line. After Expedition Everest, I'll usually do one of two things. Either I'll make my way to Mickey and Minnie and meet them in their really cool safari garb. That is such a great outfit and a great way to remember the magic with that picture, or I'll make my way toward Dinoland USA and ride Dinosaur. After Dinosaur, I might make my way to Primeval Whirl, or maybe I'll make my way back to Pandora for that Flight of Passage Fast Pass that I have booked, or the Navi River Journey, depending on how I feel. After that, it's usually time for lunch, but if I'm going during a low crowd time of year and I'm making it on ride after ride and I'm really making my way really quick, I might sit back and relax at that point and enjoy Pandora. You know, sometimes you really don't get to see the really intricate details that they have really paid attention to in Pandora. I'll take extra pictures, I'll just walk around, I might grab a coffee and relax. Remember, you're on vacation. There are so many great places to eat lunch at Animal Kingdom, but one of my personal favorites is Yak and Yeti, and I am talking about the table service restaurant. Their ribs used to be one of my favorites. They've recently changed it. They're still great. They're not as good as they used to be, but they are still great, and the menu has so many amazing options, and that chocolate cake for dessert, that is one of the best. You've got to try it if you're there. After lunch, depending on how I feel, I might do the Maharaja Jungle Trek or the Gorilla Trail, or maybe I have a fast pass ready for the Festival of the Lion King or Kilimanjaro Safari. So at that point, it really depends on how I feel and what I have a FastPass for, and I also take a look at the lines on the My Disney Park app and take a look at what's crowded at that moment, and maybe I can hop on a ride that doesn't have much of a line. Let's say I went to Festival of the Lion King, maybe then I'll make my way to a jungle trek, and then maybe after that I'll go to Kilimanjaro Safari, so I'll mix around those different shows and attractions and do what I feel like doing, or maybe I'll just wander around and take some great pictures in hidden photo spots. Those are really cool. Don't forget about It's Tough to Be a Bug and Finding Nemo the Musical. Those are great for the evening and afternoon because a lot of the crowds are at those rides and you can really enjoy the shows with not much of a wait. After that, I might make my way to dinner or maybe grab an afternoon snack. There are a lot of different options at Animal Kingdom. After dinner, it's a great time to see Rivers of Light, the Animal Kingdom nighttime spectacular. And don't forget to go to the Tree of Life on your way out of Animal Kingdom in the evening to see that really cool projection show on the tree. That is just so cool. Now that's what my standard itinerary is for an Animal Kingdom day. Of course, this changes depending on how I feel. I don't always do this, obviously, but that's the general idea of how I schedule out the day, and then I change it around depending on how I feel in that day. Now I have a few other tips and tricks about Animal Kingdom as well, and one of the first ones that I think of is that if you've experienced Animal Kingdom many times and you absolutely love it, but you'd love to see more of the Animal Kingdom theming, maybe outside the park, don't be afraid to try some resort hopping. Animal Kingdom Lodge, Jumbo House, and Kidani Village are a great way to continue feeling the waves of Disney and the magic of Africa that they bring to Disney. It's amazing to see they have their own savannas and that you can see. It's so cool, and the dining experiences are top-notch. Definitely try Sanaa, that's one of the best at Kidani Village.
I can absolutely see how this is so popular. This might be some of the best I've ever had at Disney. I mean, this is right up there with the top. Wow.
Now you may notice that in my schedule I don't include Kali River Rapids. That does not mean I don't like it. It doesn't. It just means that I have camera equipment with me, so sometimes it's extremely difficult to ride a water ride like that with a big camera. Now if you do have some smaller camera equipment or a phone, they do have smaller water pouches, like little pockets where you can put some of these things to keep them dry. If you're interested or even slightly interested in the Kali River Rapids, I highly recommend you give them a try. Kilimanjaro Safaris offers you great opportunities to take pictures of those animals. Whether you're using your phone or a camera to take pictures, it's going to be great, absolutely great. If you do have the opportunity, try to get to the end of the row. That will give you the most opportunity to get pictures of animals that might appear on the side of the truck. It's a really good tip. Now this tip applies to all of the Disney parks. If you're thinking about buying merchandise and different gifts along the way, don't be afraid to send them back to your resort or wait till the end of the day to pick them up at the park exit, or maybe buy them at the end of the day, so you're not lugging them around throughout the day. It's really helpful not to have something else in your hand that you have to worry about. Now I've been to Satawali Canteen several times and I'm planning on going back to try the food again. It's not my absolute favorite at Animal Kingdom. It does have some good options, but if you're thinking about dining, try Tusker House, Pizza Fari, or Yak and Yeti. Those are great ones as well.
It's really good, but it's a little bit too much breading. Too much breading on the outside of the bun. It's really cool. I like it. It looks nice. Too much breading for the amount of burger, I think.
Now that's for some of those protein-filled meals, but if you're looking for a sweet treat, then I recommend you go to Pandora, go to Pangu Pangu Refreshments and try the Night Blossom and maybe that Pangu Lumpia. That is so good. Super sweet. It is incredibly sweet. You've got to have a sweet tooth for it like me, but I gotta tell you, I love it and I'll be having it again.
Super sweet, but super good.
So what do you think of my favorite way to experience Animal Kingdom, or at least kind of a structure of how I like to experience it, but sometimes I'll change it up last minute? Let me know in the comments below how you like to organize your day and what's the highest priority for you. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for being a part of the magic with me. Until next time, have a magical day.